Okay, everybody, we're going to be starting to make our Starfighter class. So we're going to make a little spaceship that the player can control that will be your sort of thing you're flying around in space with as a player. It will get shot and it will shoot back and it will do a bunch of other fun things. But we'll just start off making a real basic one today, and it's going to be up to you to spice it up a bit. We'll get the controls, the keyboard pressing, and all that stuff going on. But you're going to be responsible for making it look beautiful and and deciding the settings. I'll put in certain settings. You don't have to use these exact ones. The speed and acceleration and deceleration of our spaceship is entirely up to you to decide. So make your choices as you wish. I'm going to start off by making a new tab, and I just want to remind you of my way of organizing my tabs, because processing just alphabetizes the tabs. I got my mode framework stuff in caps, all caps, and then my classes, which I'm not super happy with actually, are in lowercase. That kind of contradicts the whole you should put your class names uppercase. But it's just a tab name, so I'll go with it. And so that way the classes will be separated from the uppercase stuff. So that's a handy little processing hack. So I'm going to make class Starfighter. I wanted to give it a nice name, a fun name. But you can call it whatever you want. So a starfighter, what's a starfighter? Basically, it's going to be kind of like a star, to be honest. And actually, in the next lesson, we're going to unite star and starfighter. But for this lesson, let's just build the starfighter separately. So we're going to have an X, a Y, a VX, a VY, a size. What else do we want? I'm just going to cheat. I'm going to look over here. A color, a lives. Yeah, sure, we want those things too. Color, C, lives, int lives. I'm choosing int for that because, yeah, but you could choose float, I suppose. It's up to you. As long as they're the same between star and starfighter, that's fine. Okay, so those are sort of the things. How does a starfighter begin its life when we create it? Well, that's all about the constructor. So starfighter is our constructor. Note the matching name with the class name, as you're probably all getting more familiar and comfortable with. So what are the default values? X is going to be maybe the center of the screen. You can decide differently. Height, that's a weird word, hey? There's the center of the screen. A VX I'm going to set to 0, and I'd set VY right now, but actually I haven't. I'm going to do the... No, that's cool. VY equals 0. Yeah, we'll make it just stay still. And then size, up to you. I'm going to make it 40, I guess. That's going to be a rectangle, or a square, I should say. 40 by 40. Its color, I don't know. I'm really going to come back and make a pretty color. I'm going to go look up coolers.co or colorlovers.com and find a nice color. But for today, it'll be red. Hot rod red for a fast spaceship. What did I do wrong? Oh, color. It's C, isn't it? That's the name of the variable, not the type. Yeah, so C equals red, and lives equals, I don't know, 3 lives. Seems good to me. Okay, so its act and show functions are not too exciting, to be honest. We're going to put in a void act and a void show. Let's start with act. We're going to be moving. I guess this is a little bit exciting because we need to make it move when you move the keyboard, when you press the keys on the keyboard, I should say. So let's make that happen. I'm going to I'm going to use those variables that we had at the beginning. Up, down, left, right. Space will come later when we learn to shoot. Pretty straightforward. We just make some if statements to say if those variables are true, then we change VX and VY to make it move in that direction. So just a series of if statements. And in class, I had you guys do this on your own, and most people were pretty successful with it. I'll just code it up right now for those of you trying to catch up, or just following along from home from wherever you are. So I'm gonna put in, hey, if up, do a thing. Actually, I'm gonna just put in all of them. If down, if left. I know it's gonna complain that this won't be good syntax, but that's cool. So if up, I'm going to set VY to a positive number. Negative number. It's tricky sometimes. Down is a positive number. You don't have to space it out like I'm doing, but I don't know. It soothes my inner happy soul there. Left and right is all about the VX, so be careful about that. Left, that's easy. That corresponds with Cartesian graphing and stuff. Right is a positive number, so changing Vx and Vy according to what keys I press. Now this doesn't allow us to slow down, so we need to like decelerate our spaceship. So we can say if we're not pressing up and we're not pressing down, and that's how you pronounce the exclamation mark in most programming languages, or bang as sometimes depending on the thing you're doing, or factorial depending on the thing you're doing. But right now it's pronounced not. It's just if you're not pressing up and you're not pressing down. It just inverts the Boolean value. So if this was true, the exclamation mark or the not operator makes it false. And if it was false, it would make it true. So if these are both false, then they become true, and that's true. So if we're not pressing up and down, if we're not pressing up, we're not pressing down, you could just set Vy to 0 if you want to. It'll like, stop, like straight on, done. I kind of like the idea of like multiplying by 0.9 or some number. It'll sort of gather, sort of, it'll approach on an asymptote sort of style, 0. And once it's below, a single pixel, it'll basically be 0. So this will allow you to slow down, glide to a halt, if you will. And you can experiment with this number. It might be nice to make that a constant, to be honest. But I'm not going to worry about it too much. But, you can try out different numbers to give yourself different levels of responsiveness. I also do if not left and not right. Ooh. Then I'll do the same thing with Vx. 0.9. So that's what's going to slow us down kind of gradually. Last but not least, I actually have to put in the code that makes Vy and Vx do a thing. So we should say x equals x plus Vx, or if you are enjoying the new assignment operators, x equals x plus Vx is another way of writing that. And y equals y plus Vy. So then that'll actually make those variables, the Vx and Vy, change our position. So that's great. Hey, what makes our position actually x and y? Well, it's the show function in many ways. So I'm going to put in a show function now. This is going to be what the, what draws our spaceship, and our spaceship is going to fill with the color, and then we're going to draw a square. But you can draw a picture here later on if you'd like. I think that would be a smart thing to do. Our square is going to be at x and y, and that's why x and y is our position. And then we'll put in size. Looking good. I like it. Now, before I go further, I would like us to, let me think. Oh yeah, I'd like us to think about just what have we done? We've made a blueprint, right? This is not the Starfighter yet. It is just a blueprint that describes the instance variables and initial values and behaviors of a thing, but you can see there is no spaceship. It's just a blueprint. A class isn't the actual thing, right? We have to go make a Starfighter. We have to build it. We have to call the constructor and assign it to a variable and then tell it to act and show. So all that stuff is missing. Pretty easy to add in though. No big deal. So one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to go make a spaceship variable, and I don't know what to call it. I've been sort of thinking about it. I don't have a good answer. I'm gonna call it player 1, but you can call it whatever you want. You got Steve to shout out to Minecraft. You can call it Shippy. Whatever you want to call it is totally fine. I'm calling it player 1. I have a dream that maybe it'll become a 2-player game, because a lot of my favorite games of this genre are 2 players. And I have fond memories of playing the 2-player version with my friends in university, Raiden Fighters and all that. So yeah, go and make this player 1, but it's not essential for it to be called any particular thing. So what do we do? Well, player 1 has to be initialized. So player 1 equals new no, how about new Starfighter? New Starfighter. There we go. So that's going to be calling the constructor. It'll build our object, and now player 1 will not be a null pointer, but it will point to an actual Starfighter object. And we can use that to call its act and show functions. So in game, in addition to our loop, we can say player1.show and player1.act. So hopefully that's not news. I think we've seen this kind of syntax before. You might wonder, oh, well, we have this whole loop for the stars. Why don't we need a loop for the player or the Starfighter? Well, it's because there's just one of them. And if we had many Starfighters, we'd want to build a loop for them too. Or, as we're going to see later, we want to like unite all the loops into one loop that will rule them all. But for now, we will enjoy just a solo Starfighter that works out pretty well. Let's just see. Let's just see. Maybe I busted it. Maybe I screwed up. Let's find out. Looking good. Looking good. Another nice thing to add into this would be to make it not go off the screen right now. Phew, it goes off the screen. It might actually be handy for testing, to be honest, but you might want to add some code in there to prevent it from going off the screen. There's probably a bunch of little details we would want to add in. So, there's one right there for you to work on. There's a bunch of little details. Hey, you could also improve the show function. So right now it's just a red rectangle. Like, I mean, you could do it. Like, that could be a game, but not super great, right? So maybe add something else in here for the show function. Make it more interesting, more dynamic. You saw the other project. I had like a cool little blue spaceship. Like, that looked pretty dope. So go ahead and add your own design in there and make it not go off the screen. So that's our Starfighter. So then the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to sort of realize that, we want to add in bullets. Like, that would be nice to make a Starfighter shoot bullets. But then we'll need bullet class. And then that class will need a loop to handle all the bullets. And we're going to start realizing we need a lot of loops. We would need to go to game and we'd have to have a loop, for the stars, a loop for the bullets, a loop for the enemies. No, thank you. We would like to, we don't want to make all those loops. We want to just make this loop handle everything. That would be the goal. That would be the wonderful thing. Okay, so let's take a look at that coming up shortly. Okay, thanks everybody.